I mean, now is Leo Holman. He has a couple brand new articles over at his Substack, which is leoholman.substack.com. I reported on this on the Worldview Report tonight. Leo's the senior executive producer of the Worldview Report. He did a great job on this one. Trump administration prosecuting one of the few doctors who honored his Hippocratic oath. NATO, how about this one? Being humiliated by Russia, and it has no one to blame but itself. And Trump's BBB, just passed by Senate, will massively expand the digital biometric surveillance state for years to come. That and more with Leo Holman. Oh, Leo, welcome to the broadcast. Thanks for being with us.
Hello, Brandon. Good to be with you.
Great to have you with us. Okay, Leo, let's start out first with this clip. This is going viral today. A lot of people not happy in the MAGA world right now. Here's President Trump earlier today.
Sure. Your memo and release yesterday on Jeffrey Epstein, it left some lingering mysteries. One of the biggest ones is whether he ever worked for a American or foreign intelligence agency. The former Labor Secretary, who was Miami U.S. Attorney Alex Costa, he allegedly said that he did work for an intelligence agency. So could you resolve whether or not he did? And also, could you say why there was a minute missing from the jailhouse tape on the native staff?
Yeah, sure.
Hey, ma'am, could I just interrupt for 1 second? Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein? This guy's been talked about for years. You're asking, we have Texas, we have this, we have all of the things. And are people still talking about this guy, this creep? That is unbelievable. Do you want to waste the time, and do you feel like answering?
I don't mind answering.
I mean, I can't believe you're asking a question on Epstein at a time like this, where we're having some of the greatest success and also tragedy with what happened in Texas. It just seems like a desecration, but you go ahead.
Okay, this is not going well on social media today for President Trump. And again, I want President Trump to be successful, because if he's successful, the country is successful, right? This isn't about one man. It's about the country. It's about what we all wanted, to make America great again, which includes making America secure again and securing our borders, which she's doing a good job on that, but still not deporting enough people quickly enough, according to Tom Homan, the borders are. But then we have all this chatter about Al-Qaeda is targeting major airlines with invisible bombs. Seems like we're letting down some of our national security protocols. Seems like Annie Cyrus and many are saying we're going to get hit in 2025. She was saying that in 2024. She's predicting in 2024 we'd get hit in 2025. Sarah Adams, former CIA, many other people are just constantly on social media. It's like they're so, I mean, you watch Sarah Adams, and I'm not saying she's 100% right all the time. Nobody is. But this gal is on a mission. And she seems like she is just like screaming as much as she can, along with others, about these massive threats coming our way. So I want President Trump to be successful. But I don't understand. President Trump himself talked a lot about Epstein and the Epstein files when he's campaigning. Why all of a sudden is this something that he doesn't want to talk about? Leo?
Yeah, like you said, it's about the country. It's not about, what's convenient at the time to talk about. And to me, Brandon, I'm not going to pull any punches. That response, at least the first part of it, before he pivoted to, a lot of good and a lot of bad tragic things have happened. The first part of his response looked very scripted to me, like he was told, perhaps by the intelligence agencies, if he gets any questions on Epstein today or this week, as this whole thing is blown up in their faces, to respond with something like what you just saw, and berate the reporter as if he should only be asking certain questions about certain topics, and why are you wasting my time about this thing that's been around for years? And it was an absolute disgrace. I mean, I'm not going to pull any punches. That response was a disgrace. The issue is not going away. The American people want answers and frankly deserve answers. And if you look, it's the number one trending topic today on social media. So people are interested in it. They do want full transparency. And I don't think Trump, in typical Trump fashion, he is expert at diverting and distracting people's attention. But I think on this particular issue, he's not going to be successful, Brannon. He's going to lose support if he doesn't confront this head on.
Well, I'm not. I think, you know, I don't like the fact that Liz Wheeler was out there. I think she was one of the ones waving the notebook. So I'm not a big fan of a lot of those guys.
Oh, no.
But at least Liz Wheeler had this to say today, and I agree with her. She says, President Trump snaps at reporter who asked him Epstein question. Trump is massively misreading his base on this. She's right.
Yep.
You know, when you're right, you're right. She's right.
Yeah, she's absolutely right. Like I said, this issue's not going anywhere. Number one trending on social media today, including X. So, you know, people are going to say, you know what? I've had enough. We've already seen a number of other issues get flipped and end up with disappointing results. They said they were going to cut the Planned Parenthood funding for 10 years. And what did we end up with, Brannon? The big, beautiful bill cut funding to Planned Parenthood for 1 single year.
1 year.
Whoop-de-doo. You know, now also the administration is flip-flopped once again on Ukraine. They went from funding Ukraine to not funding Ukraine to funding Ukraine to not funding it and now funding it again in terms of the weapons transfers. And so at a time when we're admittedly low on stockpiles, we've got Israel gearing up for another round, another foray into war with Iran. That's a story out today. Looks like they're getting ready for round 2. We've got Taiwan, a potential flashpoint. And yet we're sending more weapons to this corrupt regime in Kiev. And we've got Trump talking trash against Putin today, saying that he's full of BS. And he didn't use the acronym. He used the full, what that stands for. This is not a time to be poking the bear in Russia. Let Russia do what Russia's going to do in Ukraine. And in fact, they are not doing anything that they haven't said they would do from the very beginning, which is to disarm this corrupt criminal regime that's been firing and shelling rockets into Russian-speaking areas of Ukraine for years, for a decade almost now, under CIA instigation and MI6, the typical color revolution turned ugly. Only this time it turned ugly against Russia. They go in to respond and take it out. And we feel like we have to defend this regime in Ukraine. No, let Russia take it out. Let this score be decided. Now, if Russia goes any further than Ukraine, now we've got a problem. I'd agree. But they're not doing anything, Brannon, that Putin hasn't said that was part of the objective from the beginning. They don't want Ukraine as a member of NATO, and they don't want it armed to the hilt with deadly missile batteries coming from Western NATO countries.
Listen, look, take a look at this, Leo. This is the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, and Pete Hegseth. But I want you to particularly concentrate on the CIA director to the far right of the TV screen. Watch his facial reaction when President Trump announces more weapons to Ukraine. Here we go.
Are you planning to send more weapons to Ukraine?
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now. They're getting hit very hard. We're going to have to send more weapons. Yeah, defensive weapons primarily, but they're getting hit very, very hard.
Now watch. Watch his eyes, okay? Watch his eye as he cuts his eye to what would be his right. Yeah, his right. Like he's listening. It's almost like he doesn't know what the answer is. It's like he almost didn't know what the answer was that was coming. I mean, he was watching, waiting for it. I mean, that's the body language. Watch.
Are you planning to send more weapons to Ukraine?
Boom, eyes cut. Let's listen. What's he going to say?
We're going to send some more weapons. We have to. They have to be able to
we're going to send more weapons. Now watch his shoulders go back.
defend themselves. They're getting hit very hard now.
Big side.
They're getting hit very
Now, what do you think that's all about, Leo?
Oh, boy, Brannon. The body language there is very telling, isn't it? Now, this is a man, John Ratcliffe, who is not averse to arming foreign regimes and getting involved in foreign wars. He is quite a neocon in his own right, but it looks like even maybe some of the neocons in President Trump's administration are getting, let's say, a little tired and a little weary of sending all this weapons and resources to this corrupt regime in Kiev. So, if Trump is losing support even among some of the neocons, that's very telling. I would guess that Radcliffe and some of the neocons who are souring on the Ukraine operation, it's because they see it going downhill and they see that it's a no-win operation. It has been from the start. I'm glad they're now starting to see it. But for some reason, there are others in the cabinet who are apparently have the ear of President Trump in a more direct and formidable fashion, who he's listening to. And I would like to know who this is. Is it Rubio? Is it somebody perhaps like Lindsey Graham in the Senate? Whoever it is, they are doing a great disservice to our country. We're willing to go to bat and fight for Ukraine's border, a border that they have violated with Russia repeatedly since 2014, when the CIA puppet regime was installed to antagonize Russia. But it's just not a winning issue. And I'm very surprised at Trump because he usually likes winning issues. Why can't he see that funding Ukraine in a war with Russia is a losing proposition? Russia has 4 or 5 times the population. They can outproduce Ukraine in munitions 3 to 1 in a month's time. They could produce for every one round of ammunition that Ukraine is able to either buy from or receive from the West or produce itself. Russia can produce 3.
Yeah. Do you think the CIA director was concerned because he knows that these weapons are being sold on the black market?
Who knows, Brandon?
And they're maybe making it back into the U.S.? Do you think it's because the CIA director, he can see all the reported homes that Zelensky's buying and owning? And he's thinking, this guy's a grifter. We're just funneling him more weapons? Is it because he knows that we are so depleted in our own weaponry and that we're at a great risk in America now? I mean, as the CIA director, he must be, okay, I'm not saying this to be critical of President Trump. Some people just are not big readers, okay? They're more listeners, right? That's how they learn. Different people learn different ways. Some learn by listening. Some learn by listening and watching. Some learn by writing. Some learn by reading. Some, like many of us, like myself, learn from all of it, right? The reading, the writing, the listening. It's all, right? I don't think, it's pretty well known, President Trump, I don't think is a big reader, okay? So that Radcliffe, as the CIA director, is reading a ton more national security briefings than President Trump. He has got to know some things that are related to Ukraine, Zelensky, and these weapons for that kind of put his shoulders back and sigh body language, right?
There's also the possibility, I do agree that he's probably Trump knows this as well, though, because he's spoken about it. Our stockpiles of key munitions are getting depleted. Okay, so Trump knows that. There's no question about it because he's mentioned it, I think, in the last few days. But the other issue, I think, is who he's listening to. And who knows that he's not getting phone calls from, foreign leaders in London and in Jerusalem. I believe the Mossad and MI6 are 2 of the biggest instigators of keeping this war going in Ukraine, Brannon. And so it was interesting that he announced this about Ukraine and continuing the funding right after he got out of a meeting with Netanyahu. So I think Netanyahu wants to see Russia continue to be occupied with defending its own border, as opposed to having to worry about Russia getting more back involved in Syria like it was. We've got this new regime in Syria, which is killing Christians, by the way. There's another onslaught being reported today where JTS, this militant regime in Syria, HTS, is an affiliated group from them, is heading towards a Christian and Alawite enclave in Syria. And we all know what happens when that's allowed to take place. It's going to be another slaughter.
And yet, we're hearing that the president of Syria, who's tied to that group, right, is going to be getting a White House visit in September.
Yes, yes. So, and Trump has made zero mention about the slot correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the audience or whatever, but I have heard zero mention from Trump about the danger and the persecution that's going on against Christians in Syria. If he's mentioned it, it might have been once at a low-key event. I don't know. I follow this stuff, and I usually hear if something like that is met. That's not saying I couldn't have missed one word or sentence about it, but he's certainly not gotten on his soapbox about it like he could as president of the United States. Stop this slaughter in Syria. Or if he was half as adamant about that as he was with Iran, Iran needs to eliminate its nuclear program or it will be bombed like it's never been bombed before. Say something like that to the Syrian regime. Stop slaughtering Christians and Alawites or you'll be bombed and taken out. There's been nothing to that effect, nothing. And so it's very disappointing, the entire Middle East foreign policy. Trump's doing some good things here at home. I don't want to be, 100% against the Trump administration. That is doing some good things here at home. But the foreign policy right now, I think, is very suspect. And also the treatment of the Epstein files, like we discussed
let's talk about
earlier.
the big, beautiful bill and your article that it will massively expand the digital biometric surveillance state for years to come. More with Leo Holman on the other side of the break. Don't go away.
Consumers often ask, what should I expect when I take the Bella Grace elixir? And the answer is varied. It really depends on what your health and wellness needs are. I would consider this as your foundational core product for a whole range of health and wellness issues. Let me give you a few examples. If you're a little bit older and you have some joint health issues, some problems with mobility and discomfort, the elixir is going to be your best friend. If you have some skin health issues, wrinkles, hydration, aging, all of those elements are going to be benefited from the elixir, including age spots. Now, if you're in a younger demographic, maybe visual health is where you need some assistance. Eye fatigue, dry eyes, all of those are going to be benefited by the elixir. It's a core product because it benefits so many.
But with Brannon, it's always cutting edge stuff happening in the world, and it's not just from the political angle, because you can get that on other platforms, but it's always from the biblical angle. So you're dealing with a guy that loves Jesus, you're dealing with a guy that's very intelligent, you're dealing with a guy that is cutting edge conservatism, and you're dealing with a guy that wants to be biblical all at the same time. And so for that reason alone, I hope many, many people will not just lift up his ministry in prayer, but will also financially get behind it, because from the angle I'm trying to describe, he really is the only game in town. And we desperately need it in these last days. Can I get an amen to that?
And welcome back. Glad you're with us. And as always, thank you for your support at worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. And don't forget about all the other great products. I do take the Bella Grace each and every day. I'll take it now, lest you think I'm telling you otherwise. I mean, look at that hair. I got hair growth. I saw some pictures over the 4th of July where they were like a year or two old. The picture's actually like 2 years old, 3 years old. I'm like, wow, my hair was getting kind of thin. So I do this every day. Let's go to melissahousebg.com. Roll it up like a tube of toothpaste. You don't want to lose any of it. You don't want to waste any of it, so get it all out of there. I do that every day. And I also switch with this. This has got glutathione in it to detox your cells. Hey, Leo Holman and I had a story the other night in the Worldview Report about all the microplastics, all the toxins in the air, processed food. I mean, it's everywhere. You can hardly avoid it, even if you're being, very disciplined. Toxins everywhere. So you want to detox your cells? Glutathione helps detox your cells. over 165,000 studies on glutathione. Okay. In fact, studies show it may remove mercury from your brain, helping prevent Alzheimer's, dementia, and Parkinson's. You swish with it for about 3 minutes, and then the reports and the studies show it's in your bloodstream in about 90 seconds. Then you can spit it out or swallow it, whichever you want to do. But I do the Bella Grace every day. I do the Numi every day. And I do the green drink, the Gatatana, every day. There you go. WorldViewTube.com/sponsors to find all of them. Great ways to support your health and us at the same time. WorldViewTube.com/sponsors. Here's the headline again. Trump's BBB just passed by Senate will massively expand the digital biometric surveillance state for years to come. All right, Leo, as you know, we've been talking about Sarah Adams and others. Annie Cyrus, the end of 2024, said right here on the show, expect a major terrorist attack in America in 2025. Sarah Adams and others are saying something is in the wind, that Al-Qaeda wants to target airlines with invisible bombs. What are your thoughts on that, number one? And two, do you believe that just like 9/11 gave us the Patriot Act, a major terrorist attack in the country would have Americans surrendering to biometrics under the guise of safety and protection?
100% on the second one. On the first one, Brandon, yes, we've been talking about for years that our government, forget about the wide open border, which is a fairly recent thing under 4 years of Joe Biden. Even before that, we've had 35 years of our government flying in refugees, hundreds of thousands, from countries that hate us, everywhere from Syria to Iraq to Yemen to Sudan to Somalia, Afghanistan, Uzbekistan, and all of these refugee communities have had some bad actors. Phil Haney and myself went and testified about a year before he died before a state Senate committee in South Dakota. And the topic of our testimony was just on crimes committed by Somali refugees alone, violent crimes, okay? Mostly in Minnesota, but in other states, Minnesota, South Dakota, in that whole upper Midwest area, as well as in Ohio, in the Columbus, Ohio area, and some even in Atlanta, Georgia, Seattle, Washington. The Somali community has a reputation for being, number one, grifters, but number two, committing violent crimes. And we were there to warn them about South Dakota to not expand in their refugee intake and to call a moratorium on refugee resettlement. They totally ignored our testimony, and it's blown up in their faces several times since. And this has gone on, like I said, for 35 years before Biden opened the border. And then we had to worry about not only who was our government flying in and signing up, for every manner of food stamps and every other government goodie, but we also had to worry about the border. So to think there's not sleeper cells here that could be activated at any moment, I think is entirely naive, Brannon.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about another one of your articles. And that is one we reported on the Worldview Report tonight. Trump administration prosecuting one of the few doctors who honored his Hippocratic oath to do no harm during the COVID madness. This one's really sad because this guy could go to prison. He's not the one that should be going to prison. Right, Leo?
No, he is a plastic surgeon with a practice in Salt Lake City, Utah. And he has a stellar record of protecting his patients. He didn't do anything wrong or illegal. All that he did was, upon request from parents, he would give children saline shots instead of vaccines so that they could go to school and not be singled out as, as somehow violating or not being consistent with that whole madness about you get your shots or you're going to be a danger to your family and your community. So children were given saline shots. Adults who didn't want the shot but were having their jobs threatened were giving vaccine cards to say that they were vaccinated when they actually weren't. And they're charging this doctor with absconding or seizing government property. That would be the shots, right? Because he flushed them down the drain when he handed out the vaccine card. And all sorts of a conspiracy. I mean, he could go to jail, Brannon, for 35 years, and all he did was try to protect his patients.
All right, let's go to the next one.
And none of it was done without their knowledge. Like I said, these were patients who came to this doctor saying, please help us. We don't want to get these shots. We think they're dangerous. They're untested. And he did what he could to help them.
Let's go to this one. NATO is being humiliated by Russia, and it has no one to blame but itself.
Yeah, I mean, I partly covered this in the earlier segment, but, Ukraine is a lost cause. It's been going on for 3 years now. They can't defeat Russia. This dealing Russia a strategic defeat, which is the, admitted goal of this war. If you talk to people like Lindsey Graham, we want to deal Russia a strategic defeat. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Russia has such a more formidable military operation that apparently than Western intelligence sources thought. It's been proven in this war. And now they're, sadly to say, their military machine is even stronger now than when the war began over 3 years ago. They've got all this battle-ready experience now. They've been able to test their weapons against Western NATO weapons and found that they compete very favorably. They've got vast experience now in drone warfare. They're going to defend their homeland no matter what NATO tries to do. It was looking like Ukraine might be at its end, but now President Trump has announced that more weapons are coming from Washington. So, the West might be able to drag this out, who knows, for another year or two. But at some point, Russia will win this war, and it will be in the driver's seat as to setting the terms of the peace. And that is really the despicable thing about this entire event, because if Washington and London had allowed Zelensky to sign a peace treaty with Russia in April of 2022, just a couple months after this war started, Ukraine would have gotten very favorable terms. But now they're going to be totally defeated, and Russia's going to set the terms. And President Trump acts like he doesn't understand this. He's accused Putin of, just indiscriminately killing people, which is not the case. This bombing raid into Kiev with drones and whatnot a couple nights ago killed one person, and Trump was all upset about, he's killing masses of people. He had no qualms about how many people were killed in Iran by Israeli missiles. So it's a double standard. I think Putin sees it, and he's no longer taking Trump serious as a peace broker or a peace partner.
By the way, I was just looking while you were talking there, listening, and well, I can chew gum and walk at the same time. So I was listening to you and looking up, and others are saying that what we saw from the CIA director, John Ratcliffe, was not like, it was celebratory. So some are interpreting the body language as celebratory, like, oh yeah, great. The plan is falling in place.
That would square better with who I know John Ratcliffe is, which is a neocon who's never met a war and he didn't want to get involved in. So, I wouldn't put it past him, but who knows?
Yeah, I wish he would just speak his mind, because it's everywhere today, people playing that video and trying to comment on it. By the way, I also just found this. Alex Jones on President Trump and the Epstein case files. Watch and listen.
I saw that.
So now, by coming in and being part of the cover-up, the Trump administration has become part of it. I mean, it's just, you cannot see it any other way. So I just got to the office. I'm going to go throw up, actually. And this only happens every few years when something really, really bad happens or something. I mean, I'm physically going to puke probably right now. My mouth is watering right now. It's because I have integrity. And, I just really need the Trump administration to succeed and to save this country, and they're doing so much good. And then for them to do something like this tears my guts out. And
so anyway, whether that's real, whether he's acting, I have no idea. But on social media tonight, Leo, it is not going well.
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't matter if he was being genuine or acting there. The fact of the matter is he has a very large audience that is very strongly MAGA. And if he starts souring on Trump, I'd say Trump's got a bit of a problem.
All right, let's see. We got anything else? We did get a good Supreme Court ruling today. The Supreme Court did rule 8-1 to allow President Trump to gut the federal workforce in any department he chooses. Of course, there's only one no vote. Can you guess who it was, Leo?
Oh yeah, Kenji Jackson. Yeah. Yeah.
Was that a guess or did you already know?
No, I didn't know that was a guess.
Well, you got it right. Ding, 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 ding. You just won a brand new car.
Thank you, Brandon.
You're welcome. Just kidding about the car. But anyway, I mean, a Matchbox car. I'll give you one of those. Let's see. Well, is there anything else you want to say before we let you go, Leo?
No, I just think, that's one example of some things Trump's doing right. He's trying to downsize these federal agencies. But the whole big, beautiful bill and the surveillance state, I encourage people to read my article because I've got some hard facts in there about the money and where it's going in terms of beefing up the surveillance state. And the question I have, when they erect all of these monitors and surveillance poles and license plate readers, I've got them going up in my hometown of Noonan, Georgia. You can see these black poles. They look very ominous. And what they do is they scan every license plate that goes by in real time. And these are going up, this is a city of like 40,000 people. So if it's going up there, it's going up all across America. Oh, yeah. These are the types of things that are going to be funded by the big, beautiful bill. And who's going to surveil the surveillors is my question.
Yeah. Well, weren't you the one that reported on the fact that, I'm going to go back there, Leo, because it ties in. Let's see here. Here we go. Yeah, you. Executives from Palantir, Meta, OpenAI being brought into U.S. Army as colonels to turbocharge military's use of drone warfare, robot soldiers, and other high-tech killing machines. How do we know that a lot of these guys won't be the ones who, when you say who's surveilling the surveillors, it's going to be big business. Don't you think they're going to use big business to do a lot of this?
Absolutely. And all of these high-tech military applications, Brandon, all have, typically they all have civilian applications as well. So let's just take, for example, robot soldiers. I read an article today that within 2 or 3 years, we could be facing scenarios where we encounter a being on the street in our home city or whatever, and we are not going to be sure if it's human or machine. Is it a human or is it a robot? The advances they're making are taking place at such a rate that within 2 to 3 years, we're being told now that we may not be able to tell the difference between what's human and what's machine. And so think of all the havoc that law enforcement and other government entities or even private entities could wreak on society with basically, we're talking about fake human beings walking around in our cities.
Yep. And as we go to a break real quick, come right back with more tonight. Roseanne Barr. Mr. President, yes, we still care about Epstein. Is there a time not to care about child sex trafficking? Read The Blank Room, Roseanne Barr. LeoHolman.com, LeoHolman.substack.com, LeoHolman.substack.com. Senior executive producer of the Worldview Report, Leo Holman, and purveyor at LeoHolman.com and LeoHolman.substack.com. Leo, thanks for being with us.
Always a pleasure. Thank you,
Brandon. Leo Holman, check it in, folks. You can check out his website, all right? We're going to be back with more. You know it, right? Brought to you by you. We push it out free every night. Every night, free of charge. Brought to you by you, through your support. We're not brought to you by a grant from USAID, the federal government, Big Pharma, Big Ag, the military-industrial complex. None of them. Brought to you by you. WorldViewTube.com/sponsors. Be right back.
I'll tell you one little quick story. We had a Worldview Weekend client who lived in California, lost their house. Very wealthy guy. He didn't use Bitcoin. He came over here, drove to Arizona, with $286,000 worth of his gold because he had no money and no house available. His bank was shut down because he couldn't have access to his bank account.
Was this during the fire? Was this during the fires?
During the fire. Didn't have his driver's license. He lost it. The state wouldn't give him a new license because he had no active mailing address. Real mess. So he came to Arizona to buy a house. He's moving everything over. He said, the only thing I got in my possession that I can get liquid with right now is my gold. I gave him a check for $286,000, and guess what? I didn't need his social, his driver's license. Sort of smiled, and I said, you know, I know you and Brannon talked about how this worked, but boy, this is great. I feel good. I got my money. Nobody bothered me, and I'm protected, and it's private.
Just simply go to worldviewgold.com, fill out the form, worldviewgold.com.
Nature has a rhythm, a quiet strength, a way of restoring, protecting, and renewing us. Wellness isn't just about how you feel today. It's the quiet choices you make for tomorrow. At myvitamin.com/worldview, we've made daily self-care simple. Quality vitamins, daily supplements, and targeted nutrition. myvitamin.com/worldview makes it easy. Pure ingredients thoughtfully combined, tailored for your body. Formulated by a doctor who has over 25 years of medical practice experience and is a certified functional medicine provider. Visit myvitamin.com/worldview today and take the next step towards strength, balance, and resilience. Discover the wide range of med packs made for you and your loved ones. What you nurture today becomes the strength you walk in tomorrow.